Hi, I'm Raisa Bruner, and I'm joined today by singer-songwriter Norah Jones. Nora, thank you so much for joining us for TIME100 Talks.
Thanks for having me.
So you were honored on the TIME100 list in 2004, which is just 2 years after your debut Grammy-winning album, Come Away With Me, made you really a household name. And I know you've been a household name pretty much ever since then. And this summer, you also released Pick Me Up the Floor, which I believe is your seventh album. So that's quite a stretch of being in the spotlight, being part of the music industry. When you look at this and look at the last 2 decades, really, what's changed the most for you as you approach music?
Um, I think I'm just a lot less worried about how things will play out for other people. Not that I was overly obsessed with that in the beginning. I always kind of did what sounded good to me, but I still overthought things, because I was a young person. So I think I don't worry about it anymore. It is what it is. It's just music, it's not going to hurt anybody.
In fact, it often helps people a lot. I know that I've turned to a lot of your music, especially over the last 6 months, because it's so warm and welcoming. So thank you for the music. And what are you most proud of over the last few years and looking back?
I think I'm most proud of just being able to be myself still, and from the beginning and still now, and also being able to change. And I'm also really proud of just trying different things and collaborating with so many different people. That's been probably the biggest joy of my career. I feel just really lucky to still have a career at this point, and it's a weird business, but I feel very proud of all the people I've worked with. And it's also a great business, if you're
And
lucky.
and it's been a uniquely challenging time over this summer, especially given how live performance is not able to go on right now, and especially with album releases and trying to figure out how to promote music during this time. How were you able to continue to flex your creative muscle, and what's gotten you through while your normal schedule has been so upturned, I imagine?
Yeah, I definitely miss playing with my various bands and with other humans in general, but we all miss those kinds of things. For me, I've been doing these weekly web streams. I've been doing them since I think the end of March, and uh, they've kind of gotten me through. I think if I hadn't been doing those, I just play like 4 songs a week. And for me, if I hadn't been doing those, then I probably wouldn't have played music for 6 months, because I have 2 young kids. So, it's always snack time. But it's been really rewarding and really fun for me to explore some of my old songs, play covers, just have that moment to myself with music. And I wouldn't have gotten that otherwise. And also to connect with people in that way. I'm not really that big on social media. I'm not very good at it. But I think I kind of found my way with it through this.
Mm.
I do what I do. I sing songs, I play music. So for me to do that over social media and connect with people in that way, which is what I'm used to doing, it's been great.
I was going to ask next if you found that you've started interacting with music differently because of everything that's going on, and clearly you have in a way, but have some of your past projects or has your work taken on a different meaning to you in some way based on just the conditions of both the pandemic and also social change in the country and everything that's going on in the world?
Well, it was kind of interesting because when everything first locked down, I had just finished my new album and I was so excited about it. And then I really quickly thought, well, this seems totally silly right now. Everything else is so much important. And, the label wanted to delay it. And I was like, that's fine. But then I thought, well, actually, music is good for the world. And, I was listening to so much music to sort of get me through. And I thought, well, why not release it? It's not going to hurt anybody. Again, back to that music is supposed to help people through things. People connect in that way. They feel less alone when they're connecting to a feeling. Especially this album, it was a bit melancholy, dark, maybe, and some of the themes in the album sort of connect with just being a human and that sort of sense of longing, and it's sort of fit for this period. So, I think the more music, the better.
Yeah.
So I kind of came around from feeling like what I did was very insignificant, which in some ways it is, but also then I started doing these weekly live streams, and it just, this is what I do. So I have this to offer people. And so I might as well, in this time especially.
Yeah. It's been really beautiful to see artists like yourself step up and sort of give of themselves and of their work to the virtual community over the last few months. Do you feel like it's a responsibility as an artist, as a public figure, to provide that kind of experience for people, or be there when they need art?
I don't feel that way personally, because that's not the way I think. But I did feel really strongly about, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to try to find, because I personally felt really helpless in the beginning of all this. And I was trying to find out where to donate and where I could help best, how I could help. And so it was important to me to sort of share whatever info I had that I was already doing, and try to post like a charity every week for people who also feel helpless, even if they don't have a ton to donate. It's, whatever helps. And I think that was part of it for me. So it all sort of tied in. And there's so many opinions out there right now, and I've tried to keep it to the music and the charity, and I feel like that speaks a lot for me.
So you mentioned earlier also that one of your great joys is collaboration and working with other artists, and you have worked with pretty much all of the greatest musicians alive at this point. So what have you learned? What kind of advice has really lasted in your memory from some of those experiences?
To be honest, I've never gotten a lick of advice from any of those people. Maybe I should have asked for some. But they're all humble in their own ways, and they've never presumed to tell me what to do. But I think you learn a lot by example. So I've learned so much from all of them just by seeing how they work, seeing who's on time, seeing who's spontaneous, seeing who's tied to overdubs and a click track, which is a whole other way of working. So I've learned the most by just watching how they go about things.
So much of music by default is ultimately a male-dominated industry. And so I was curious if you have ever felt challenged by the settings that you've been in, or if you've noticed change over the past few years and sort of a movement towards more equal setting.
Um, that's interesting. I mean, I see a lot of strong women in the industry, though I know you're right in what you're saying. Maybe I gravitate towards strong women, but there's strong women at my record label, from my record label to a band I'm in, to other artists who I see doing it. I definitely think things are changing, because I see a lot of strong women out there. And I think I've also just been really lucky my whole career to be surrounded by people who let me be who I am. I wasn't in the section of the music industry where I felt stifled. So in that way, I think I've maybe been a little bit sheltered from that thing you're talking about.
What about what comes next? Do you have a vision or an idea of what you'd like to see happen in music, in performance, in collaboration, both personally from a career standpoint, but also more broadly as you look at this world you've worked in for so many years?
I have no idea. I'm just sort of waiting for, the hard part to hopefully get better in all walks of life for everyone. It's just, there's so much coming at us right now, and so many people are having a hard time. So, I just hope that music can continue. Obviously, we all miss playing live. So I think once that's sort of back in the game, it's going to feel even more special for people.
And I know that I turn to things like your music to get me through right now. What are you turning to help you find that sense of solace?
A lot of music, from everything from, we have like a 80s playlist, from our childhood. It's really fun, to new music, to old music. I mean, all kinds of music. Podcasts, a lot of podcasts, a lot of audiobooks. Every time I try to read a book, I fall asleep. So I've been trying to listen to audiobooks lately. I'm tired, but
Very understandable and relatable. And in the spirit of the Time 100 list, one thing we often ask many of our guests is, what's giving you hope right now? And, what's inspiring you?
I think just the fact that everybody's kind of beat down and tired, but everybody is really aware of what's going on right now on so many levels. And people are trying to instill change where they think it's needed. And it's so needed in so many places. So I think that gives me a lot of hope. If people were just kind of like whatever, then I would be hopeless. But they're not.
Mhm.
So great. Everybody needs to just keep doing it because it's hard.
Thank you, Nora, for spending time with us today.